Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benici, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week. Hello, hello, hello.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hey. Wow, to
You
find a freaking link.
You guys look like you guys are having a party today.
We
Party every day, baby. Party every day. It's a party every day, or something like that.
Were we partying today? Not more than usual, I don't think.
The fact that you guys record podcasts late in the evening, I absolutely love it.
You might be one of the few.
Well,
I think so.
The thing is, I'm running on, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours of sleep right now.
Oh my.
Usually late night sessions are like when I get the best work done, just because I'm managing, the office and answering, team members and all that stuff during the day. So nighttime sessions are usually when I hit my grooves.
Right.
That's good. That's pretty much the only time we're grooving too.
Yeah.
That's it. We got one, select amount of time, and that's it.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. We started this way, right? Because Kenny is West Coast and I'm East Coast. So kind of finding the right times.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, East Coast.
Yeah.
On the West Coast, I think it's 4 or 5 o'clock. It's it's not dinner time, but it's that
weird
time
though.
of the day.
Yeah, it's weird.
So we pushed it. Actually, originally we used to do 8 o'clock my time, 11 o'clock his.
Yeah. I'm getting old.
Right, but he's getting old. So he needs time now. Even though as the older you get, the less sleep you need, apparently. So I don't know why it's a big deal, but anyway, whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do I know?
We, it's funny because Tazz introduced us, and Tazz was giving us the gears because we recorded something that we're going to put out as a fast thought. So just like a 10-15 minute thing. And we did it during the day, and she was like, what the F is wrong with you guys? Like, why are we talking during the day? Like, what is wrong? We're like, well, we could do stuff during the day.
Well, we've got to the point where we record. Well, just so Austin knows, now we're recording sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning, my time.
Yeah.
And as late as 8 or 9 o'clock, my time, evening. Like, it's all over the freaking place. Like, I have no idea what we're doing anymore. It's like perpetual recording. Who knows when we record?
But it's also like things have lost their minds a little bit as well for us. Like our guest list has kind of exploded. So we're kind of booked up till we're booked up till the fall, and we're double booked from now until end of July, I think, Kenny, something like that.
It's almost like we're popular. We're that close to being popular.
Look, that's something that you guys, even when you started this, you're like, nobody's going to listen to it. And then it's like, all right, now some people are going to listen to it. And now it's like, oh shit, we actually got a job here. We got to show up. We got people.
Yeah, we got to show up. And...
Hey, we're in the big leagues, baby. Like, we're not fooling around anymore. This is like the big leagues.
That's awesome.
Only in our dreams, buddy. Only in our dreams. Only in our dreams.
That's
now we have Austin on the show, though. Who knows where this goes?
Oh my!
Now we're in the big leagues, popping it out of the park, baby.
I don't know what Tazz shared about you guys, but she said, she's wanting to put me and position me in places that she says, my story has impact, or people may resonate with this. So she said, you guys, were a hoot, and I'm just, appreciative of the opportunity to be able to talk with you guys.
We just love stories. We love stories. We love to hear what people do.
We love the journeys,
why they did it, where'd they go, why'd they go there.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's actually what fascinates us. We have so many people on. We think, how the hell did you even start there? Like, how did you? The idea is so sometimes outside of the scope of what they do, and you're thinking, like, what brought you down that path? Like, how'd you get there?
Man, and so for me, as well as I'm learning my storytelling ability and my journey, and I'm getting better at it. Like I do think I have a really impactful and a pretty cool, interesting story. So it's just, I'm excited to continue to critique that and make it better and share it, because it's created so much impact for me and like my loved ones, and now it's like starting to hit that next kind of level of scalability. So it's
awesome. I'm excited to hear this then.
It's amazing.
I'm super curious. I took a peek at your LinkedIn before we got on. We don't really prep.
I didn't.
But it's like a full what? What are you doing now? Like So,
I'm gonna like this one. Then.
Yeah. So I'm super curious. Let's do we'll do a quick intro and then we'll let you jump right into it. But we've got Austin Collins on. He is the CEO and CMO of Five Strands. We'll get him to tell you about that because I literally do not think I'm going to do it any justice whatsoever. He is he's kind of into some pretty cool stuff. You just heard me say it from his LinkedIn. It looks like he took a full left turn to go somewhere else. So we're kind of I'm like definitely interested to hear the path and the journey here. And then really important in this exercise is like Tazz was on last week and her episode was on a week ago, and she's super cool. We love her. So Tazz loves you. We love you immediately.
100%.
That's how it works. So Austin, welcome to the show. Like we're gonna turn it right over to you. Tell us who you are, where you come from, man.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Really excited to kind of, like I said, share my story and journey. I am CEO and CMO of a company called Five Strands. It is a integrative functional kind of nutrition type at-home collection kit company to where we're determining intolerances for people, which is kind of just like the imbalances that they're having in the bodies from stuff in their food that they're consuming, or things in their environment that they're coming in contact with. We use kind of like a unique technology. So it's not, scientific industry based of like medical. It's bioresonance technology. So it's more on like the holistic side of nature. It's actually technology that's been used kind of in the European healthcare system for, I want to say now, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 years, more on like a therapeutic side. So usually like a one-on-one patient comes in, uses this type of technology to determine what's called biofeedback. So just getting, responses back from the body, determining what's it's needing in order to kind of rebalance. So we've now just been able to bring that to scale. So instead of it being, just one-on-one practitioner, patient, we're now kind of able to use that and scale it out to provide these elimination guidelines to people. And we do it for pets as well. So that's kind of where we segmented into the pet market. We had people interested about how to critique and perfect their body and then, eventually their pets. So that's kind of high functional overview of where I'm at. I've learned the healthcare industry, all about the pet healthcare industry. My interests, came from personal desires. I was a college athlete. So I played baseball in South Georgia, Columbus State University, and I was just constantly critiquing and perfecting my diet, trying to lift more weight. I was trying to run faster. I was trying to make sure my recovery times were healthier. So I started just studying my body, nutrition, the industry in general. So, started learning about lactose industry and just, how kind of that messes up with the body. And once when I started just integrating in some of the testing results, I started, feeling the difference. I started seeing the difference. I ran a case study with my college baseball team to where we ended up going to the World Series that year because of just how well the team was, like healthy wise. Like they were, responding quicker, they're hitting the ball harder, just some of these basic functions that, it's based upon our diet and how well we're actually fueling, these machines that we run. So that was just like a case study impact for me, gave it to my family, saw some of them lose some weight, some of them get healthier. Yeah, so I'll just intro that as like that's my thing, man. I enjoy helping people, find a healthier relationship with the food that they consume, the environment that they live in. And then for pets, I love pets. I don't have any kids yet. So I just, know that most pets don't have a voice. They're not able to communicate their discomforts. So we enjoy being able to kind of give them a voice, give the pet owner some direction and guidance on, what food they need to be providing their pet, to maybe get rid of the everyday discomforts like hot spots, scratching, shaking their head. Those are all due to just intolerances that we don't necessarily know what they're caused from. So that's where I'll pause for now.
Okay. So wait, go back. So you've got, I have a million questions around Five Strands and the whole thing, but go back. So you graduated out of Columbus State University, right? But then you've got all these, like your path is definitely not straightforward. You're a ball player. graduated, and then what'd you do after that? Like, did you come out knowing you were going to do this?
Yeah,
Or
let me give you a background on just me, myself in general. So I was born in Florida. So I'm a Panama kind of area kid. My parents divorced, so I was actually a dumpster baby. My dad threw me in a trash can whenever I was younger, and my mom ended up coming home and saving me and shipped me out to Georgia, and we rebuilt kind of life that way. So I went to high school up there, and I saw basically a bunch of my family members pass away from the healthcare system, just failing them. So I saw a lot of times even where my mom would sink her bottom dollar into going to the doctor, going to the vet, hoping to find some answers, and coming back just crushed, like working all week to hopefully get some answers for something and just not getting that. So I think that was like the trauma as a kid that I observed and just had kind of like the next level awareness at that age, to just see that frustration of going to the expert, who is supposed to have the answers and not getting those. And then feeling, my parents feel helpless, and I saw it with our pets, as well, but it was more impactful at the time for me for, seeing my mom, crying because she couldn't, resolve her rheumatoid arthritis that she was feeling, just so many different things. So that kind of scarred me and made me think, okay, well, why, is my mom spending money to give somebody else this information? Why can't she figure it out for herself? So yeah, then I went to college. I like knew that I wanted to I didn't want to work for anybody. I've always been an entrepreneur. It's not that I didn't like people telling me what to do. It's just that, I thought that I had kind of more impact to create, and nobody likes getting told what to do, but I still necessarily thought that I was able to do a little more. I'm very creative. So yeah, as I was just perfecting and critiquing my body, the roofing company, I think you may see on my LinkedIn that I worked at, that's my co-founding and business partner. So I tutored her daughter in high school. And then when I was playing baseball, I was still doing like multiple jobs because I was paying all my bills still. So I was doing that contract work on the side, and eventually she had basically a surgery that she was going to have to get, and ended up finding this test and taking it, and then ended up, I ran the test as well, and I started recognizing the changes that I felt and how amazing I felt. And it was just, as soon as I went through that experience, I was like, man, there's so many people that could benefit from this. So then we started going actually to trade shows. That was kind of like our starting point as we went to the gluten-free industry back in 2018, 2019, kind of right when it just started. And that was like our fad. That was, where those were our super fans that were learning about gluten-free intolerance and celiac disease. And we ended up presenting our product there and getting so much feedback, people who thought that they had a gluten intolerance, and it was actually to maybe an additive and preservative that was inside, some of those foods. There was actually other, grain-based products that they were having issues with. There wasn't actually the gluten. It was actually, one of the foods itself. So that testing ground gave us like the foundation to say, hey, we've got something here. And now we've just been, scaling it out from that point. So for me, I went to college to study marketing just because I was like, I wanted to learn how to basically sell anything that I wanted to. I didn't know what I wanted to sell, but I was like, at some point I'm going to have something that, I want to get out there. So yeah, that's my base level, man. That's how I at least entered into this space. And then from that point on, now I've been, studying bioresonance. I've been studying quantum mechanics and physics and, nutrition and all of that stuff for the past, 6 years of my life. So just going to seminars, listening to, spaces, doing my own personal development journey. So another fun fact, I live in a shuttle bus. So I traveled the US actually in a shuttle bus that my wife and I converted.
Awesome.
So, that's cool.
I live completely off grid. I've done so for 2 years. So it's one of those things as well that, yes, I'm the CEO of the company, but I mainly do just our marketing and business relationships. I'm an empath. I'm somebody who, works in kind of the energy medicine field. I do Reiki. So it's kind of just like those types of movements. I allow myself to be in a better area to have, free flowing work, being able to communicate, properly, putting myself in a toxic environment, not coming in to communication, with things that may disturb my flow. so yeah, it's been very enjoyable, being young, being able to do it, focus. Like I said, I work 16 hours a day basically. So, it's nice just not having to drive to work or anything. And the fridge is about a 2-second walk, and the bathroom's also a 2-second walk. So
what are their favorite play? Because you've been doing this for a while. Favorite places?
Oh yeah.
You like to take the shuttle bus?
Yeah, so the Redwoods is probably my favorite place in the U.S. Glacier National Park up in Montana is absolutely beautiful as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Sedona up in like northern Arizona.
Yeah, it's beautiful in there.
That's just a different area, man.
And three different areas, if you think of. I mean, they're very different on their own.
Fundamentally different areas. Yeah,
but all really grounded in nature, man. Like you are, like grounded to this planet Earth.
Yeah, this isn't my first lifetime here. I mean, I was pretty awake whenever I was 14. I think I ended up flicking off my cafeteria because they judged me, because I think at the time I had considered myself like an atheist because I didn't know necessarily what religion was. Like my parents grew up Christian and told me to go explore for myself. So I started, just saying, I don't know what I am. Like, I don't have those answers yet. Like, I'm still discovering, so. And I said that in high school, I took a bunch of crap for it, but having that awareness also made me start my journey of like, well, what do I believe? What do I want to represent? And I just, like I said, I've just been aware for a while. So I just, noticed my energy and raised my level of awareness. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at, man.
No, it's cool. I love it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Okay. So let's go back to Five Strands, because I think this is pretty interesting. I've seen we've had, like, I've had some of this stuff like for our kids, I think, like at a naturopath, but it's quite, I guess I'm curious because it's if I remember right, it's a long time. Like, my kids are older now. They're 20, 16 and 14. But I think like the middle, our middle and youngest had lots of eczema and, like asthma and things like that. So there were always sensitivities, but not your classic allergies. You know what I mean? Like, they had classic allergies, but so we went to a naturopath who did, some of the blood testing and some of the resonance work to figure out, like, the youngest was totally sensitive to tomatoes for a long time. But I remember that being not very scalable, right? Because because it's like, Kenny, it's like a whole process, right? You got to come in, you spend, I don't know if I've got this right or not, but I remember spending kind of like an hour to 90 minutes with a naturopath, and then there's a process you'd have to hold some things, and then she would kind of run. Yeah. Do I have it? Right?
You're 100% right.
Okay.
That's the exact thing. So that was, like I said, that's been used for 60 plus years.
Right.
So that's a staple. That is a proven it works. So then the scalability side of it is why Five Strands is different, because we're not requiring your daughter to physically come in. We're just requiring your daughter's hair sample to then be able to run those same frequencies and rates that they were testing there. We do it, just with that hair sample. So
you send it in.
Correct. So it's an at-home collection kit process. So the customer basically receives the box, they collect their hair sample. So it's no blood work, no saliva. They send it to us. We are then able to test for over hundreds of different items that measure, the level of severity of intolerance upon exposure. So consider it like a cell phone, right? So like your hair sample acts as, basically how we make that connection from our lab to you, to like call you, to be like, hey, okay, here's the sample, there's the person, and now we're just kind of exposing the rates back and forth and measuring the response that occurs. So that measurement is then what's provided to you guys as that report. That's called that biofeedback response. And that's like that snapshot of how your body's currently responding to these different items at these different, levels of management. So like you said, it's not an allergy. Like, we're not testing the immune system to determine if there's a protein type response happening. We're testing, the energetic and intolerance side of the levels that, is very subtle. It's not something that's manifested, outside of just probably some pre-leaky gut, so some gut health issues that are just occurring. And we're helping people pinpoint, the food items that are maybe causing those immediate distressors, or things like eczema. Yes, they can be due to food, but they can also be, due to things in the environment, whether it's a material or a fabric that you're, coming in contact with. Like very popular in women is, lycra or spandex, or, any of those type of workout materials that they're contracting their, largest organ of their body, their skin. So they're, having those difficult responses every single day. For our pets, how is that seen? The pets, when they're sleeping on beds that they're uncomfortable with, whenever they wear leashes that the fabric doesn't agree, with their body. So whether it's a leather collar, whatever that is, maybe that's why they're scratching their neck all the time. Most of the time when dogs are shaking their head, it's because there's a gastrointestinal, issue. So it's like those food items or those subtle ingredients that are found inside the, foods that they're consuming. If you remove those, then it just allows the body time to heal. For people, if I tell you not to have a beer tonight, you still may have a beer, right? If I say to a dog parent, hey, don't feed your dog, beef, they're not going to do so. Right. So we see more immediate results with the pets because, there's some quality control of what you're actually feeding and what you're exposing them to. With humans, we get people that call us pissed off saying our test is crap because we're telling them that they're alcoholics, but their feet are turning red and their face is turning flush every time they drink. And they keep, denying that every time they wake up with a stuffy nose or, eye boogers, that it's not an intolerance. And we're like, it 100% is. It's not normal, So,
so I'm Asian. I don't even need this study for that. I can tell you that's 100% true. So, but yes. Yeah.
How are you? So I just want to understand a little bit now because I'm curious. Yeah. So you send hair samples, and how do you come back that a woman has, let's say, a spandex issue, or if I send it to you and you say, listen, you're drinking too much. I'm Italian. We don't have alcoholics. We all just drink too much. That's not fair. Sort of the people are offended on that one, but you know what I mean? Like, how do you get that out of your hair? Like, what are you looking for?
So it's just basically the feedback responses. So like each one of the items, and even think about forensics, like hair has so much history and backing, right. Just like, what actually is in the body, what's being, measured from the body. So like I said, it's just acting as that stable representation, and all of the items that we're exposing it to, like it's giving some sort of response of how well received or how well balanced it is. So think of it as like sound and light wave frequencies, right? So if there's a disharmony, then they don't, necessarily align. If there is a harmony and a resonance, then they, move in the same motion. So that's kind of where we're measuring is, hey, here's the frequency of the hair, here's the frequency of those 100 items that we're testing for. Now, how is that, response occurring, and what is, the measurement happening in between? And that's what's then provided on the report. So it gives you severity levels of how intolerant that response was, whether it was in harmony and showed that the body was perfectly fine, and it was good for consumption or exposure, or if as soon as that response happened, these wavelengths started becoming imbalanced and showing that there was an intolerance and that the body, upon that exposure, was going to have some sort of response or reaction.
It's almost like the way the naturopath explained it to me in the beginning. It's almost like, when you tune a guitar or something, and so when you've got the right note, the pitch is good, right? You can hear it. It's like a nice clear wave. And then when you're out of tune, you can hear it, right? Because it doesn't sound right with the tune, with the wavelength that you need. So the bigger the discrepancy in the wavelength is, the more sensitive you are. Right. Is kind of the way she. So that was, I'm a music guy, right? So that helped me like immediately go.
At least you could understand.
I get it now, right? Like, right. So yeah. So
you measure a person's hair, its base, right? And then what do you do? So you like if it was a piano or a guitar, you would pluck it or hit a note, and it would resonate, right? And it would resonate right or wrong, whatever that means.
Correct. So
what do you do with hair? So I don't want if it's proprietary, you want the science, I don't care. But I'm curious to understand, like what, like how do you what do you throw a spandex frequency at it, or like let's say
Yeah.
Lactose has its own frequency. I don't know what that would be.
Correct. Yeah. So everything in this life has its own frequency. Right. It has its own vibration. So that's each one of those items has been sourced in order to then basically capture that frequency.
Okay.
So now
it's like a fingerprint.
Correct. So now we've got a database of all of these, items and records. So like for our pet test, we sourced all AFCO ingredients for our commercial pet food test. So all of those ingredients have their unique resonance, which means that the body's going to respond uniquely to all of them. So like when you think of a pet's diet, like beef lung, beef heart, beef, liver, all of those are beef, but they all respond differently. Right. So it's like, even the different types of cheeses, people say, oh, well, I'm lactose intolerant. Well, maybe you actually have an issue with hard cheese versus not hard cheese, maybe, you've got
overly aged and,
correct.
Sort of less pasteurized or pasteurized, but less aged, whatever.
Correct. So that's how granular, we get with it. And why I love this so much is most people take, these tests and they see some of those staples on their diet that they're like, well, I eat that every day. And I'm like, well, no shit. Like, that's why we're talking. Right. That's why that's an issue, but then if you learn about the microbiome and the leaky gut, like it only takes one item to really break the gut brain, barrier almost like that once when that's destroyed, then some of those healthy foods start to also become issues. So like we give people those avoidance levels of, hey, these level 3s are the most severe. These are causing, probably the largest responses in the body. Cut those out, for a 90-day period and try to give your body that time to rebalance from not having that negative exposure. Then we do the level 2 items, which are considered yellow. So it's like a stoplight almost, and those are a 60-day elimination. Then we have a green item that are 30-day elimination. And then the gray items, your body's okay with consuming for the time being. And that's what makes up, your elimination diet. So that's how the process flows. We're just knowing that many people eat foods or meals that have 10, 15 plus ingredients in them, when sometimes all it is 1 or 2 ingredients that need replaced or removed, or one less spice or something like that. So
and I'm assuming it's the usual suspects, like you would test maybe a sugar or a lactose, which is a sugar, but it's or a nut of some kind. I'm assuming it's there is that group of things that we all you all kind of know that tend to be the problems. So you start there.
And that's the thing is like, so we're living in a time where, there's thousands of different diets and health plans and whatever it is, but like the only one that matters is unique to you. So that's, why we say like all of this is biofeedback, because it's, yes, we have the general, consensus of, hey, here's some of the top ones that we see. But like when we send out a result, like it's not like we have a checklist of like, oh, this is an accurate test. Like we know that it's going to make sense for the customer because, they're the ones that will look at it and go, oh, this does make sense. So for us, we enjoy the part of somebody getting the list, understanding, hey, okay, these are in my diet. These I can remove from my diet. Here's what I can replace with it. And it just gives them that like first step, because most doctors, they say, do an elimination diet. And now you're like removing so many nutrients to where you become deficient. Your body's now
it causes other problems, right?
Right. So the same thing with our pets, whenever we look at the dog's diet, if you're feeding commercial food, there's 50, 60 something ingredients in there. You have no clue what the actual issue is. So we see, mixed tocopherols is the number one intolerance because it's the number one ingredient used in the pet food industry. Mixed tocopherols, is just the preservative and additive that's used on pretty much, 95% of prepackaged, pet food in the industry.
It's like MSG for
correct.
Everybody's got something.
Yeah. So people say, well, that's every food. That means I have to cook for my food or my dog. And I'm like, well, maybe you do. Like I'm sorry that's the answer. Like it's not an easy solution, but like if that's what's causing the issue, then make that rotation. And since it's not an allergy, it's not saying you got to cook for your dog forever and ever. You have to give them enough time to rebalance. And then whenever you rotate that food back in, like you can rotate commercial pet food back into the diet. You just have to do it in moderation again. So those intolerances don't build back up,
right?
Because when that exposure just continues, like that's why in my belief, a lot of these intolerances occur is the intake of nutrients and how quickly that occurs outweighs the body's ability to actually absorb those nutrients. So therefore it starts to negatively discharge it through the body as those intolerance symptoms. So that's why, the staples in our diet, when people eat a banana every day and banana shows up on their list, they're building up an actual, rubber intolerance, but through bananas as well. But you'll see just, that intolerance build out. So with our dogs, our cats, we feed them the same food sometimes every day, and we wonder why their stomach hurts. Imagine if you were to have the same food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, you'd be like, dude, this is a boring world, and my stomach.
Well, the biodiversity of food. So I guess what it shows you, and you don't ask any questions before we send this in. Like, you just ask for samples, people send them in, and then they go backwards and try to figure out, okay, do I have a biodiverse diet? Like, am I eating, like, to your point, is if it's steak and potatoes every day, sooner or later your body is going to get tired of that. I would think anyway, or I would assume in our society, highly refined, highly processed, high sugar, because everything seems to have sugar in it, foods are probably going to be the culprit. So does it sort of promote going back to more of I don't know how to say it, like an old school, more natural diet? I don't know, probably not the right word, but
that's the thing, is like we try to overcomplicate stuff so much in this world now, and it's like it doesn't.
We oversimplify it, but overcomplicate it at the same time, right? So you're trying to make things simple by putting everything into the box and easy, but you've just made it really complicated for your body to understand what the hell you just did. You didn't get
100% right, man. That's how we see it. We're just like, at this point, food is the medicine. Like it's not rocket science.
Though, Austin. I think we've lost that understand. I think food has become fuel, or just, I don't know, like killing time. Like Phil and I love to eat. I think that's probably why I love food. I love cooking food. I don't like buying a lot of packaged food. I like cooking food.
Yeah.
I may not cook the best food for you at times.
Well, so think about this. So I live off grid, right? So 95% of the year I live in the woods, which means I cook all of my food. My wife and I just stayed on a mountain in Oregon for a month long. We went into town for 2 weeks, for 2 days out of those, that entire month, to grab our groceries, which means that
have some staples. And
we cooked every meal for an entire month. I can tell you 99% of the world could not say that, because they stop at a fast food place, or
not in the Western world for sure.
Correct. And that statement alone, people will go, well, that's just, that's too difficult. And I'm like, it's not, like, it's possible. And people will say, well, why are you so healthy? And it's like, because I don't, cut corners on some of that stuff. Right. So, trust me, I love food too. And at this point, I actually, even when we go into town, will still cook my own food, because I'm so disappointed every time I go out to eat, because I'm like, man, I can cook something better. I can make sure it tastes better. Like, I can make sure there's not any of this.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
We have all these discussions all the time. We go over our menus, because we go out for nice restaurants, you think, that was meh.
Yeah. You're just whatever. Like, damn, I spent $100. Like, I could have spent 40 and cooked it myself.
And I could have 17 people over.
Right.
And it's worse after the pandemic, I find.
Yeah.
Like, just as a sidebar, because I think Kenny and I both, we doubled down, like everybody, right? We doubled down on cooking, but I think, we're pretty adept in the kitchen already. And so you kind of like, you solved a bunch more things, and so now I go out and it's really tough, right? Like, it's really tough, because you kind of go, I wouldn't have made it like that, I guess.
I wouldn't have done it this way.
Okay.
Like, it's $30. That's okay. $100. That was a rip. Like, I just got screwed on this meal.
Well, that's how I always laugh about it too. And like, so one of the things that I share, is like, I'm a very big intention person, right? Like, I'm a very big, like, what's your set intention for the event, for the night? So when I go out to eat now, I can't set the intention for good food. Like, I have to set the intention for the experience, or the enjoyment with my wife, or like, or
friends, or whatever. It's nothing to do with food anymore.
No.
So how sad is that? The whole point of dinner used to be good food and all those other great things.
Well, so that's very impactful of a statement, though, is like, what are you doing to that food that you're eating? So imagine when people are just picking up fast food and they're just like, oh, well, some, 17-year-old kid threw this together while picking his nose in the back of the, thing. Like, what was his priority in making sure that food tasted good? So it's like,
well, there is none.
Well,
he didn't do, and besides, what did he do? Austin, what did he do?
Well,
he pushed
threw
some
it in the microwave.
Yeah,
he didn't do anything. He take it out of plastic each step and just threw it into some heat of some kind.
That's the vibration of the food that you're eating, right? So like when you guys are cooking your food, like you're making it with love, like you're literally putting the intention of it being, you know, the best meal. Like you're like, look, this is going to nourish my body. So it's like a completely different relationship that we've, you know, lost with food. And that's why I enjoy the fact of like making people conscious through this test of what food that they're consuming, you know, what in their environment they're coming into contact with. And, you know, like I said, I enjoy the pet space because pets can't even vocalize those issues. We see it, which is what notifies us as there's an issue, you know, so we go, oh, how do we help them? You know, most pet parents try to go to the vet, and the vet only has a blood allergy test to offer, which is only a, you know, 13, 15 item panel. That's $500. And more than likely just going to tell them that it's, you know, maybe a chicken allergy, which may not even be all the way true, you know? So it's like most of those types of testing and the tool that they have, it's so limited. Pet parents aren't receiving any information anyway, so they're not even taking their pets. So now they're returning them to the shelter that they got them from. You know, they're actually abandoning being able to take care of it because they don't have the answers. So my long-term goal for the company is to be able to, you know, package our test with a lot of these shelters, a lot of these, you know, just places that are helping onboard these pets into nice homes, because the number one reason pets are returned to any type of shelter is because the pet doesn't know the pet parent doesn't know what to feed them or doesn't know how to support them. So let me
be the jackass or the cynic then. But if my pet's not feeling good, my first inclination, and maybe just even listening to this, if I re-listen to it, or if I do, you know what I would probably do is, okay, I would probably, and I actually would do this, logically, I would look and say, it's probably that shit that's coming out of the bag. So, you know what if I just go buy some beef bones with a little bit of the meat on it, a little bit of fat, because it's an animal and needs the same things we eat, it's the three macros. You know, I can put some vegetables in here, hopefully clean vegetables. I'm trying not to get something that's, you know, massively GMO or whatever. I mean, I can do that. I mean,
and I'm not telling you you're wrong. That's the thing is we're not doing rocket science. Well, we're doing bioresonance.
You're doing science.
But,
no, you're
doing science.
You're doing science.
But I just wonder why people just don't go down that path first.
Well, it's just because of what they're engraved for their personal life, you know? So like I said, they're buying fast food. So just the same way that they're buying fast food for their pets.
But you come from, so Kenny, you come from a background where like the household, your household is ingrained in cooking. Like for us, it was the same thing.
And bake,
like so our little poodle Cross is now 3 years old. When we first got her, right, she came home like anxiety from changing environment, wouldn't eat. And so we did what every Asian parent would do. We made her eggs and rice. Do you know what I mean? Like eggs and rice or chicken and rice, like boiled chicken and rice. And then everyone was like, how'd you know to do that? I'm like,
isn't that what you do?
It's exactly what you do for children, right? You they get upset stomach. What do? You boil chicken and you give them rice. Like those, like it's the most blandest
protein, fat, but it's all there. They can live,
you know, and they can live, and it's not long term sustainable. But you gotta set them right before you figure out what's wrong with them, right? So
Kenny, to answer your question on that, like, most of the dog food that people are buying now, it's $40, $50, $60 a bag. You know, if you're buying a veterinarian prescription based diet, it's $100+ a bag. Yeah. So to make a educated, you know, guidance structure from a dietary and lifestyle change, I think it's an essential roadmap for pet parents to be able to have as like a, you know, instead of shooting in the dark of buying 2 proteins and hoping that they work out, you now have a structure of like, hey, these proteins are what I can build the foundation around, and then find the supporting items, you know.
I think that's why I would like to test for that purpose, to say, okay, instead of me trying pork, chicken, beef, I don't care what it is. Maybe the dog likes lamb. Maybe that's the best thing for him. I don't really care what the animal wants. As long as the animal is going to be healthy and happy. I mean, really, what do I give a shit what the animal eats? Whatever makes you happy.
And that's the thing, is you would go off of what you think would work for it, you know, and we now get these testing results to tell you what the body's, you know, the pet's body is telling you what the best thing is for it. So that's why we see the most turnaround, you know, in our pets the quickest, because we're controlling their intake and their exposure. So for people, you know, a lot of our chronic disease that we've created has been a 30, 40 plus year experience before it takes, somebody to recognize, hey, there's an issue here. So that healing journey is a lot longer than, maybe these dogs or these cats that are only 1, 2, 3 years old, and we're, 50, 60, 70 years old. Like that's a completely different.
Well, you're erasing a lot of history. Or trying to, right?
Correct. So that's how I always look at that, when people are just like, well, how do you apply that to the pet and why is that important? Like imagine having that from the start, reducing the amount of negative exposures throughout that pet's experience in that lifetime. You're just going to see the general vitality be better.
And you're going to save a lot of angst, period, right? Because you're giving a voice where there is no voice to be heard, right?
The pet's going to be less angst, you're less angst.
It's the same reason that you bring little kids, why we brought our kids, right? Because she's got eczema, she's itching like crazy. We did the test, and the first thing that popped up was tomatoes, right? And she was like, the naturopath was like, take her off tomato 90 days. And everything, everything got just so much, but it's not perfect, right? So you gotta go back, you gotta figure it out. But I can I pivot just a little bit? I want to pick your CMO brain for a second. I think because oftentimes we get entrepreneurs on the show who are super excited because they think they found white space, and I think you're in some degree. It's not white space because people know about this, but this is not common knowledge, right? There's kind of a really small subset that understand this. Right. How do you when you first started this? How you walk me through the marketing process? Because I feel like this, it took us. We're 3 very articulate people. It took us 35 minutes to kind of wrap our heads around this. It's a difficult
how would I
model.
Search? What would I look for? Well,
it's
right,
a difficult model, right? If you're going to spend 35 to 65 minutes for every individual to sell a kit, it's oh my God.
We can't have everybody in the country phoning you. Hey, just phone Austin.
No, I mean,
he's about an hour of your time. Poor guy's not going to sleep anymore. He doesn't sleep anyway.
To be honest, I mean, that as much as I'd like to say it was cut, dry, and easy, it has been a hand-holding process to get everybody through that educational experience, because there is such a blind spot in this space of people not knowing anything about this. Our number one thing is people search, a dog allergy test. They don't search a dog intolerance test, even people nowadays.
But I would say people even do that.
Well,
you would go to allergy for scratch tests, right?
So picking my brain from a marketing stance, we actually started our company as affordable allergy testing. That was our original name because I needed the word allergy.
You needed something to give me the trigger.
I needed an SEO word to be able to use from a Google Analytics stance and a marketing stance. So then as soon as we brought them onto the page, then we instantly engaged to say, hey, this is not an allergy test. So it was kind of like an ass backwards way to get started, but I had to make that shift.
Kind of clickbait.
I had to. I had to,
But I get it. Because what do you search for? Intolerance.
And that search volume just wasn't there.
It's not going to be there.
So after the first year of us going through these trade shows and the gluten-free industry actually shifting and getting some, clout behind it, the word intolerance started to actually stick. So we instantly then changed our brand and rebranded to Five Strands, and then we could start optimizing our campaigns around the gluten-free industry. So that's why, like I said, we found that celiac gluten-free kind of niche to be able to piggyback off of, but then from that experience, those customer feedbacks, that group of people were the lost people. They felt like they were on an island by themselves. So any one of those customers that we gave a positive experience to, they became a super fan. And that's the only way Five Strands has really started to grow is over now the 5 years of business. Imagine having chronic fatigue and pain that you've spent thousands and thousands of dollars for trying to get answers, and you took a simple $100 test where you sent off a piece of hair and somehow you got this guideline that changed your life. That impact has given us kind of the foundation for what we do now. So it's our best marketing is our customer experience, so we make sure that we hold the hand of each customer to make sure that they have a good quality experience. So now we have kind of scaled out things to that tier, but the first 3 years, I was on the phone every day with 10 plus customers explaining the entire process,
I'll
front
bet.
to back, answering the questions, because you're educating an entire market cap. You're creating your own, pillar through this industry here. So like I said, it's not easy. It's been pioneering our own space through here. And like I said, we had to do it in a creative way. So now the term intolerance is kind of getting, more known, but it's still so niche to where
still pretty niche still.
I know.
It's still pretty niche, right?
Now, as soon as the gut microbiome starts to actually get some additional clout and some good push from just a engagement stance for our bodies, and you start to see some of it with the pets, and these, kind of BS supplements that are getting thrown out there for, helping repair the gut and whatever that is, those types of conversations will help our market space. Like most people are now recognizing how important the diet actually is. Like you said, most people don't know food is the medicine, like as funny as it sounds and how basic that is.
Crazy, right?
Right. So as soon as that perspective shifts, then our market is already there, like it's waiting for us. So we're actually taking this time and seeing it as a downtime. So we're doing 40% growth on the business year over year, because that's how the at-home market testing company is expanding, just with COVID happening and all of that search engagement from people.
Yeah, all of a sudden testing is not that big of a deal to do at home, right? We all did COVID tests.
Correct. So now that market space has kind of hit that stride. And for me, it's now just helping the education of the consumer population understand that most people aren't experiencing allergies. You're not allergic to the food that you're eating. Mm-hmm. You're just over consuming it and creating an intolerance. Yep.
So we need to do van life, because wives won't go with us. I'm going to go with you, and we're going to be smart like Austin.
Oh my God.
And we're going to do some cool shit out there.
So
for other people.
So small plug, I hope it's okay, but your YouTube channel is Awakened Days, no? Is that you? Okay.
Yes. So my wife,
you're fucking around the internet again. So how can you do this?
Nah,
because then I have to go.
Look, what's
it called?
No, Awakened Days.
Awakened Days.
Jeez.
Yeah. So my wife and I, we've done some influencer in the wild type stuff, is what we call it. We just go to some beautiful places, and we love, documenting the story, documenting the journey. We really enjoy that. So that's a small little plug. If you want to go look at, me and my wife and our van that we converted, I think we got a video that's got like almost 500,000, views on it at this point.
You've got some pretty serious views. And then there's there's some really cool, like your solar panels you've got a solar panel installation video on there. That's pretty cool. I'm into the van stuff. I love the van stuff. So for me, that's a big deal.
It was actually one of those things as much as it pains me to say it, like I kind of knew COVID was a thing. So like I knew that the pandemic was coming a little ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So we started actually converting our bus, I don't know, maybe a couple months before the pandemic actually started. Right. Just because I wanted to be liquid. Like I was living in an apartment, and I didn't want to go put a huge investment on a home or anything at that point. So I just liquidated everything, put it into a bus, and just have stayed as clean as possible, so that way I didn't have as many liabilities throughout kind of like the market ups and downs that we've had. And I do a lot of forex, crypto, NFT type stuff as well, so it's like kind of my secondary focus point. So I learn a lot about the market and just the economy and how
during the 16 hours of work and
he doesn't sleep. Got 8 hours left in the day on 16.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
We're similar creatures. So we're laughing at you, but we kind of know.
That's what I said. I'm here like among friends here. I knew I was right where I needed to be.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. What a cool that is a cool story.
Yeah, it's a really cool story.
I mean, from a pretty rough start in life, really, we didn't dwell on that, but shit. Yeah. And then, to get where you are now, man, good on you.
Yeah. Look, my home story is kind of interesting, so it's like I'm recreating, my home. Like I have, my original family and stuff, but it's like I have found so much enjoyment in life being able to like just see people's faces or feel that reaction and response of giving them the relief that they've been asking for and hoping for. And
hoping for probably more than anything. They're not even asking for it. I think they're just praying to God or praying to something that they get some relief somewhere. Someone help me, please.
I mean, I just listened to my parents do it, right? So like I said, it was my trauma of seeing my grandparents. Like I had, them pass away because of just not getting those answers, having those difficult family meetings. So that was the fuel to my fire that then just kind of kept me going in this direction and saying, I know I'm not alone. I know my family's not alone. I know that there's other people that need this. So yeah, from like I said, a CMO stance, it was one of those, my passion came from kind of just knowing it was needed and knowing that it wasn't a mainstream thing because it wasn't talked about, right? It's something we all experience, but you're not going to read about it. It's not going to be something they want front and center. So I've always been kind of the rebel guy anyways. So now I'm kind of just enjoying being a troublemaker in the industry.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. Sorry, I'm gonna plug for Amelia here.
So what's next with the Five Strands? Like, do you envision? Because right now, people are like, I imagine the logistics of kind of getting tested and then getting them back out testing. It's pretty logistical. Do you see this thing scaling and getting a lot bigger?
Yeah, so we've got the foundation for it. We've got like a franchise model set up. We just actually did like a whole tech overhaul on our backend system to where we can now franchise out if we want to, but we're wanting to make sure that like the quality control and just how the process and the education and how people speak about it, aligns. So a lot of it right now, we're just doing ourselves from an expansion standpoint. We mainly are on e-commerce platforms, with just our own website with Shopify. We've got Walmart, we've got Amazon. I think we've got a Petco deal that, is kind of on the ends of ending. I think we had like a 1-year thing with them, but it's just like those types of outlines, are good. But from an expansion stance, like, we want to get it out there. We just want to do it in a healthy way, so we've not rushed anything. My foundation for this wasn't a financial gain. So I don't have that corporate, how big and how fast do we get there mindset. I have a, how well are we taking care of our current clients, and what is their experience like? And then we'll grow from that. So I want to say that we're going to probably clear over $6 million in revenue this year, which means that we probably will have
That's super impressive, man.
Thank you. We're probably going to have supported, I want to say maybe 50 to 60,000 people this year of probably having those tests ran. Wow. So, that's the scalability that we're
well, you know why? That's a nice, first off, that's a nice number. I mean, really and truly. And, you said Walmart and Amazon. Sorry, Phil, you just react. You keep going. I just find it, I don't know if that's, I get for accessibility, and I get that, but I don't think sometimes those are the places for this thing. I think I would rather listen to you on a podcast, get it directly from, or not as a podcast, on YouTube, a TV show, radio. I don't give a shit where you're talking, or blog, whatever. But I trust you more than I trust the retailer it may be in.
Well, and that's the thing is why I'm even
still astounded, Phil.
Listen, so I'm on his site. So here's why I'm like, look, it's $6 million in revenue, and the average test is somewhere between $66 and $200.
So it's $100 each.
So you do the math, right? That's a lot of
60,000 people. It's a big deal.
Customer base, like that is not like because it's not like you're not selling jeans and you're not selling iPhone cases. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't like I ship 50,000 iPhone cases. Woohoo, I'm done. One broke. Yeah, I'll send a replacement, right? Like, this is like, because like I'm reading some of your reviews and like people are like, oh my God, I got 20 pages of results, right? Like, this is awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not.
Can I ask you that? Like, so if you don't mind, Austin, like, so what is like the success rate that I'm just dead curious, right? You get 50, 60,000 people a year coming through.
Yep.
Like,
so what happens? We're processing. This is how you manage, how we're currently managing a success rate. Cause it's
a lot of people, by the way, still like shit.
It's a hard, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a hard gauge, so we're testing roughly 100 to 150 people per day. It takes, roughly 15 to 20 minutes to probably facilitate a couple hundred items through our database. So the success rate is once when they get the results, what's the integration process? So for people, the success rate isn't as high because they don't follow the results as, properly. So, but
like with most medicine.
Right. So a lot of our best reviews are on the pet side. So that's actually the reasoning where, we're still around because the pet company or the pet side of our business is now 50% of our business. Like we started on the human side,
right,
but because the pet's experience is so good, like our fail rate on the pet side is like next to none. Like it's
because it's easy to be compliant, right? You don't have, there's no cheats. Dog can't ask for it.
You either followed it or you didn't,
or you don't.
So even on the people side, the only times that it's not successful are the people that just get the results and they go, well, this can't be right, and don't even apply it. So, I think over the past 5 years, we've had only 2 people call us saying, I did the actual elimination process and I don't feel better. And like, I mean, that's 150,000 plus people that we've tested and literally, and only had 2 people say, and that was after a 60-day elimination. Like we didn't even make them finish the 90. We're just like, hey, like we don't necessarily know what happened. Like we hear you, but I take that as, like I said, I was on the phone with our customers for the first 3 or 4 years of the company because I had to check in to see what their issues were, where they were getting caught at.
Well, you want to see if they're actually doing it so you'll know. Like if you don't comply, it's like any medicine. If you don't take the medicine properly, well, guess what? So what do you want me to do?
On a customer service stance, we maybe get, I'd say 30 to 40 emails per day asking just general questions. Out of those questions, maybe 1 or 2 are frustrated. So, like I said, whatever that ratio comes out to, we're running 150 tests per day, and maybe 2 people are usually upset with our company every day for something.
It's huge. It's huge.
So now, is this something available in I'm assuming in Canada, it would have to be Health Canada approved.
So we actually sell in Canada. We've got a distributor, Kane Veterinarian Services, up there distributing it. I think we've got 1 or 2 other locations, but there's I think Ren's is like a big location up in Canada. We're about to launch through all of their stores. Tazz is actually doing training with that entire branch. So
that's the pet side, but on the people side.
The people side is actually more on a practitioner provider basis of like holistic nutritionists who are integrating it into their daily function.
They would use it and give the reason. So the test, they would be able to do the testing themselves.
So as a provider, this is how the Five Strands test benefits you. We don't serve any type of supplements. We don't say here's the solution. We just say here's the results. So as a provider, you're able to then take those and build out the nutrition plan. You're able to give your own recommendations or supplements. So,
which is what I expect you to do anyway. That's why would I come to you.
Right. And that's the basis is now those people have a tool to leverage to then exfoliate, their gifts and take that data. So like I said, man, the marketing is take care of each individual and then the rest of it will grow on itself. Because then sometimes now they're even becoming the customer support team for us. Their friend takes the test and they get the results, and now they're asking their friend who told them about it instead of calling us directly. So it's like there's so much, as long as you nurture, those couple people that have really got the basis on how a true elimination diet and function is supposed to be, now they're testing their whole family, and now you've got an advocate that's sharing it to so that's why we're not rushing the growth process. We know it's there. We know it works. Like it's been more for us fine tuning the consumer experience, because I know that this is going to be a big deal. Like I know in, 2-3 years, like I know I just said 6 million, but it could very easily be, I don't know, 20, 30, 60 million. If the market cap, and especially, my beliefs with another pandemic coming maybe in the next, year with some of the market collapse, like I just see another wave of this becoming a big notion. And, health is just such a priority and a focus point for a lot of people now, that I just don't see it ever going anywhere. So it's like, as long as you're providing the education and empowering people to where they don't feel reliant, like that's, I think, where the break in society is who's wanting to be reliant and who's still wanting to empower themselves. And that's why I still see us as the empowerment side of it that, humanity is still going to kind of hold on to, because they want that personal choice in their health.
Do you see and I wonder if it's a societal issue, because the state's healthcare system is very different than most countries. You're really much on your own in your country. It's just the way it's sort of set up, right? I mean, most of the other countries have a little different healthcare. You're still dealing though with traditional, conventional medicine. In your opinion, do you see that? I mean, I can definitely see the natural side where you're natural path, holistic health. Obviously, these people are already wired that way. That's where they are.
Right.
You know, God bless them. They do their thing. Do you really see, or can you see?
It depends on the validation process, right? So like the thing is this technology was around 50, 60, plus years ago. It was actually already used in some of like the pioneering for the X-ray machine itself. So some of the same technology that we use from a frequency stance is used in the same thing that scans people in the airport, through the detectors. Like, so the technology isn't different. It's the use case and what the result is. So we're not teaching people to go take prescription medications. We're teaching people to eat better food. We're teaching people to live in better environments. Like one of my favorite things on the actual test, we do a nutrition and a metals and minerals test as well. On the metals test, there's sometimes a lot of these, negative metals, like fluorescent lighting per se is one of like the most common kind of things that we'll see come from a bioluminescent stance that is literally damage people from like a crown chakra type stance of their body every day in these, workforces. And, they're getting their depression or their disorders or some of their, things from just these outlandish type, claims, but they're not, they're everyday things for people. So I don't know if I see the larger scale accepting this, because we're teaching people, actually what some of the larger scale issues are. So, I don't see any type of larger corporation paying for $1 billion study for us to do this. So we're running our own, kind of minor studies as case studies to basically say, here's the validation. So like we're working with a vet now to basically run a sample size of, I want to say maybe 30 different pets and just like tracking everything. Like we've done this, before, and I think the success rate was 98%, and like the one was somebody that didn't finish. So it's like, we're doing that basis, but to be validated by that community, you have to go through their guidelines and their parameters, and they already kicked us to the curb, 60 years ago. So I don't see
and they probably will, because to one of your comments there was, you're not prescribing meds and things like that, which welcome to the world of healthcare. A lot of it is driven by different motivations, and I'm not saying pharmaceuticals don't hold a place. We are all living longer. Really and truly, it's not from the food we eat as much as probably the pharma that we're taking. I'm not convinced the food's doing much service, but definitely the pharma might be tacking on a few extra years.
I mean that's the sad part, is most of our food has been stripped of the nutrients that it actually has.
Thank McDonald's. It's the first sort of, when you dumbed it down to sheer commodity and fast, you absolutely, like the 50s killed food.
Yeah.
Potatoes that you add water to. I mean, who the fucking thinks of these things? Like, why do you think of these things?
Like I said, man, I wish it would go to a larger scale.
No. Yeah, me too. No, Phil was.
Oh, I just, like I said, I would love for it to go to a larger scale, for the fact of I see it maybe dragging a bigger impact. But like I said, I didn't start this for a financial purpose. I started it for a personal desire.
And I'm not even looking for that. I think that's what I'm looking at. Because I think it's important that we all understand. I mean, I know we all talk about it more and more all the time. We're all talking about, it's not so much the fact you eat meat, it's the meat you eat and how it's processed. A farm raised, range fed cow, whatever you want to call it, or a goat, or I don't care what you eat, is very different than something produced in mass. Whatever, how no doubt, it's how we produce food. Cheap, quick.
That's the thing, is what's the line in between general terminology of what health looks like versus how much validation does our test provide? So sometimes our test is the entry barrier to somebody starting to even pay attention to their health. So for the three of us, we've been conscious about it for a little while. The person who's still not having a clue where to start, like, sometimes that's the vibration that we're picking people up at, and we need to be able to help them, start their journey to explore and get, that self-discovery of what works for them, and, what they should be buying, and starting to read labels and, packagings and things like that maybe they didn't, like I remember, people just didn't even turn the label around to read the ingredients ever until, a couple
and
years
even now
ago,
if they turn it over, do you know what they do? They actually know what they're reading.
Right, they can't even spell half the crap that's on there anyways,
which is typically the first problem, right?
Yeah.
Right.
First fundamental problem, you can't pronounce it, probably ain't the best thing for you.
Well, that's the exact thing. Your body won't know how to recognize it either. So that's where we teeter is, maybe our company disbands because it's generalized information, but I just don't think that the world's going to be able to have that type of combined, education in the space, at least for a few years, so
I see that.
I see it as that bridge a gap of helping people become more conscious of the food that they eat and giving them that starting point. Because like you said, what's preventing you from grabbing 2 proteins and some vegetables and feeding it to your dog? I said, okay, well, you don't know what 2 proteins to grab, and it's sometimes better to, instead of creating more issues, just do a little bit of pre-research to then make that, actual guided recommendation. And from a retail stance, retailers, if they make a wrong recommendation, or like a customer comes into their store and they go, hey, what food do you recommend? Right. And you go through this kind of laundry list of questions, and it's maybe based on, a previous customer's experience or whatever. Like, if that's the wrong recommendation, the customer never comes back. So we have seen, just taking that additional step, holding the hand of that customer, now they're a customer for life. And now you're selling them collars and leashes and toys and all that stuff for the rest of, that pet's experience. So that's how we see it, just integrating. We love the mom and pop aspect of it. We love kind of the very personal experience, because health is very personal, and like we try as a civilization to make it this general terminology that everybody can be, vegan, everybody can be keto, that's not true. So everybody really should be having a custom tailored experience. So that's why we enjoy kind of the, hand holding process that we still do. And our customer service is the only reason why we're still here. Like, we answer all of the customer questions, any of the feedback, like we listen to any of the complaints, all of the stories of people's histories and their health, and, all of it, because it matters, because that person's journey is relevant. And whenever you go to the doctor's office and whenever you go to the vet's office, you have 10 minutes maybe to share, as much information for them to maybe make a recommendation on your life. And like, for me, most of the customers that call us, it's a 15, 20, 30-minute conversation minimum, to be able to get that experience. So that's, part of our cost is just knowing we're going to be talking to these people, because this is a very impactful moment for their health journey.
I gotta say, your hair.
Yeah,
amazing.
Shit, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if
I'm scared.
I know that's where I'm thinking too, Phil. I don't know. Geez, maybe I better go have a glass of wine before I do anything.
Listen, Austin, thank you for joining.
Austin, you're awesome, man. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah, we're really thankful for you to come on. If people want to find you, what's the best places to find you? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So probably going to Facebook. Our Five Strands Facebook's, easy to contact. I check the messages on there pretty frequently. You can go to my LinkedIn personally. I'll check the messages on there. Austin Collins at Five Strands. You should be able to find me. And then if you want to, get to know me personally, you can check out the YouTube channel at Awaken Days and, be able to kind of see the life experience that, currently doing. And it just, like I said, that lifestyle, man, it helps paint the picture of also why I do what I do, right? Like that is the way to live.
Just listening life. To you, I think we know why you do what you do.
Yeah, we love
live the life.
We love it.
So that's really cool, man. Like, seriously, I think you're a fascinating young man. That was super interesting.
Look, 26, man, in this lifetime. So I got a few more years ahead of me.
26? You're my kid's age, for crying out loud.
I know.
Jesus Christ, I could have been your dad too. Holy jeez.
Listen,
it's like you're helping your dad now. I gotta have to send some bloody hair, and I gotta do all this stuff.
As you find, as you get developments and things change for you, keep us in the loop.
Oh, absolutely.
Come back on the show anytime.
Love to have you back on.
Yeah, very excited. Honestly, going to probably go ahead and schedule one out, because we've got a lot of updates, before the end of the year. So I'd love to maybe do a Christmas holiday special with you guys.
Buddy, light it up.
Done.
That'd be awesome. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
For some
we'll throw you the invite link and you can book it now. I'm not joking. Like, after this call, we'll book it, and then you can book what you want and then come back on. So
Perfect. Guys, you guys have been amazing.
Awesome.
Like I said, I love the late night sessions. I love what you guys are doing. I love,
Thanks.
just being here. So
that.
I appreciate you guys' time.
Trust me, we appreciate you because it's fun.
Thanks, Austin.
We've not talked to so many cool people
fun.
the last little bit.
Yeah.
You were really cool. That was
awesome. Thanks,
okay,
Austin.
Go enjoy your evening. Go see the wife. Go do something. Go climb a mountain or a tree or whatever the hell you're going to do tonight.
Love you guys. Take care.
Take care, buddy.
Take care. Soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Phil, hang on. Oh, that's cool.
You guys are awesome.
He's great. I love him.
That was fun.
I love him. Tazz, what a beauty.
Oh, Tazz.
Thanks, Tazz.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tazz.
Thanks for the hookup. That was good. Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that was 70 minutes.
Yeah. That was good.
I mean, it was a little long for a podcast, but I don't know. I you know what it is with these guys, Bill? Because you know me, because I'm obviously.
You're a little cynical.
I'm probably a little cynical. Okay, I know you know. So I'm a little cynical. My daughter would say I'm a boomer, even though I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X. I keep trying to tell her to get through her thick head. I'm not a boomer. Yeah. But that's what she'll throw me as, right? And it's because I keep telling her, I said, again, you got to let me listen and absorb and try to understand what I'm doing. Because I do have a cynical side to me. I mean, I've always had that. It's probably why I do okay for a lot of things, because you're questioning, right? I don't take things just because you say it. I mean, face value. Like, you know, you want to be a little cynical. You don't want to be negative, but being a little bit inquisitive and pushing doesn't hurt. I find that guy fascinating.
No, I really love it. Like we did do this, but there's a reason that we only did it once, right? Because it was cumbersome. It took a long time. You know, it's hard to keep the kids. A lot easier, right? Yeah, this is a lot easier. Back,
and then you do the usual suspects. I guess is what it would always come down to. Yeah, like it's funny when he said hard cheese, soft cheese. I thought, okay, yeah, I just never thought of that. Because the first thing you do is eliminate cheese. Well, as soon as you do that, from like people like me, it's failed. It's going to fail before it starts, because I'm going to last a couple of days, then I'm going to have a piece of cheese. Yeah. But if you had told me, okay, listen, maybe on the Parmigiano Romano, like take it easy. Maybe you have more burrata or like like a soft mozzarella or something. Yeah. Okay, at least I can still be in cheese. Like, thank you for not eliminating my diet.
But it is those things, right? Like, because you know some things like
they say cheese is cheese.
Like when you get older, you go, oh, I can't eat as much steak. You know, it screws me up. But like this dials it right in for you, right? Because now you go, you know, like you and I are both taking trips, you know, in a month or so, right? And so you're kind of like, well, I don't want to eat bad shit that's gonna fuck up my trip, right? Like, I want to be able to make sure I'm gonna be okay on the trip, right?
I ain't too worried about it.
You know, I know I got you.
You shouldn't worry too much about it.
I'm not worried about it either.
I'm pretty but I agree with you. I mean, it is, you know, if I was doing a 3-weeker in the States.
Yeah, no. You get awfully, you tiptoe around certain food. You're like, I'm not going to have that, right? Like, you know, if I was home, I'd try it because it looks fucking awesome.
Right, but
I don't know what it's going to do, you know, right now, right here, because if I get food poisoning or I get sick or I just don't feel well, it's like
I'm just not eating
2 weeks. Yeah.
I mean, Italy, come on. We're going to be eating pretty good.
Nah, you're going to be.
I'm not too worried about this one. Yeah. This one could be okay.
I'm trying to lose as much weight as I can because I'm going to gain it all back in Paris.
It's not going to matter.
So,
anyway. I'm getting ready for winter.
All right. Anyway, we're like an hour and 50. There's literally nobody
left. It's just you and I anyway. Don't worry about it.
Thank you for listening.
That was good. Thanks, everybody.